in another way, looking at it another way, what maths quants preparation is also about is about understanding the from the story in the question. You have to come out of the stories and you have to start understanding mathematics from the variables. Hi friends, welcome back to the Arun Sharma Mindworks channel, and I've done already a couple of videos on the QA prep strategy, which was talking about your process of quantitative aptitude preparation, and those videos were more on timeline based and what do you need to do and how many rounds you need to do, etc. This video I think is very crucial when you're trying to prepare for QA. The video I'm doing now, this one, and make sure that you watch it and utilize what I'm saying here, because you'll not get this information from this is very synthesized information, which is a synthesis of maybe 15-20 years of my training experience, plus the visual or the experience of having seen so many people apply processes to QA. So as I've already mentioned to you, you have to make sure that you do multiple rounds of a chapter. Now that's very important because of the fact that, I mean, even as teachers we realize that, I'll tell you, during my understanding and my training process for CAT, through my own journey through CAT, there have been so many things that I have learned. I started teaching for CAT immediately after passing out of IIM, and I was in my maybe 4th year of teaching people, which means I might have taught maybe 100 batches by then, and must have taught 100 times the same topic. There would become a question which I had not thought of earlier or not thought of a particular way earlier, and I would see a new solutions to a question I had been teaching for 3 years. And this process continued. It continues even today. Even today, after 20-25 years of teaching people, there's always some new questions from which I learn something which I had not thought of earlier. And I keep telling my students at Mindworks that see, this is something I'm teaching you for the first time because I've realized it for the first time. So अगर ये हो रहा है even with people like me who have been at the 99.9 plus percentile right through, तो इमेजिन अगर कोई स्टूडेंट ये प्रोसेस अडॉप्ट करता है कि एक राउंड में करके और बाकी जो क्वेश्चन नहीं सॉल्व है उसका सॉल्यूशन देख ले, तो ही इज़ गोइंग टू गो into the CAT and he's going to be like a fish out of water because he's not going to be able to breathe at all in that exam, he or she. So that's the reason why I say that multiple rounds is critical. Now, as I have also mentioned earlier, that when you do a round, there will be a difference between the question seen and the question solved. And the question solved can be divided into two kinds of questions, two kinds of experiences. One is those questions that got solved easily, and the other is those questions which you could not solve easily, but you could solve it after stretching yourself and with a lot of thinking through the question. So you had to actually stretch yourself before you got through the answer. So you'll have two kinds of questions in the question seen, in the question solved. And the question seen versus question solved, the questions you could not solve, उसमें भी there will be two kinds of questions. One will be questions which are absolutely far away from you. You can't understand anything written in that question. And the second is where you are slightly closer to it. You can understand most of the things in the question, but something is not clicking, hence you are not getting to the answer. So there will be two kinds of questions there. So what you do during round 2, when you come back, round 1 just experience this. And what percentage of the questions you will be able to solve easily, what percentage of questions you will solve with stretch, and the other two kinds, not getting any idea versus having an idea but not able to solve. These four, the division of that amongst the 100% questions you have seen will depend on a few things. It depends on your level, it depends on your learning capacities in quants, it depends on your beliefs in quants. A lot of people I come across, I see that they tell me that मेरे को belief ही नहीं है quants में. So if you have that mindset, then nothing is going to happen. So you need to change that. And it also depends on difficulty level, as I said, of the assignment you're picking up, right? And also your studying quantitative skills. So what percentage? I've seen people who pick up LOD2 on day 1 of the preparation, week 1 of the preparation, first round of the preparations, are able to solve 95% of the questions on LOD2. And the flip side is I've seen people who pick up LOD1 and can solve only 10% questions. The good part is that both these people have an endpoint. They both can qualify the exam, right? So you don't need to worry about, or if you're in that 95% wala category, people who can solve 95% first time, then obviously your aims and quants will be very different. You'll try to aim to get to a score which is almost 100% of the score, or at least 80-85% of the score of the section, because quants is one of the large scoring sections in the exam. So you'll try to make sure that you get to 90-95 percentile or 90 percentile overall only on your quant score, so that the other sections give you the remaining jump. But what about the other people? The other people who are at 5%, 10%, 20% to start with, can only solve that much. There is a path for you also. And that path, first, of course, the objective cannot be to score 80% the CAT. Your objective in the section will obviously be to defend the section. Make sure that you are not missing out of the section cutoff. And your objective will be maybe to solve 12, 13, 15 questions in around 40 minutes. 12 questions in 40 minutes. Your objective will be to become a 3-minute solver of a question. Whereas for the guy who's trying to max the score on this exam, on this section, he's trying to become a 1.5 minute per question solver. So if you belong to the poorer category, your objective will be this, right? And then what do you do when you are looking at a question, and this is where learning strategies come in. So I look at a question. You need to understand that maths, any question in maths, tells you what to do. And if you can listen to what the question is telling you, if you can listen to what the question is telling you and hence do what the question is asking you to do, you will always qualify the maths section. You will always get through a question. And if you can get through questions, you will qualify automatically. So if you are not able to solve a question, or if you solved a question with difficulty, it means some of the points at which the question is instructing you to do something, you are not able to handle it, right? So I call these points as triggers. So every maths question is about triggers and the reactions, right? So if I give you a simple numerical situation, 2, 3, I give you two numbers, 2, 3. I don't tell you what to do inside it. I'm just giving you some information. I'm just giving you some story without any triggers in it. But the moment I tell you 2 divided by 3, it's a trigger which leads to a certain step which will give you the answer. If I say 2 plus 3, it becomes a trigger. So similarly, in a maths question, a man is traveling from Delhi to Jaipur. There's no trigger in the statement. It's just a story. He's traveling at 50 kilometers per hour. Still no trigger. Still a story. He travels for 5 hours to reach his destination. Now you have a trigger if you combine these two stories. Delhi to Jaipur is 50 kilometers per hour, 5 hours, it's 250 kilometers. That's the distance. So this is what maths is all about. You identify triggers inside questions, trigger points inside questions, and you react to them. And the process of getting better at maths is to keep installing one trigger at a time. Okay, इससे क्या करना है? मैथ्स का biggest advantage is that कोई भी चीज़ से क्या करना है तुमको एक ही बार सीखना पड़ता है. You don't need to learn it a second time, right? So if I tell you that the total score of a batsman in 20 innings is 870 runs, so 870 by 20, 43.5 will become his average, is the reaction to this statement, and that reaction will be set anytime I give you a sum of a certain number of numbers. You can come out with a reaction of average. So in another way, looking at it another way, what maths quants preparation is also about is about understanding from the story in the question. You have to come out of the stories and you have to start understanding mathematics from the variables. And every maths question is about given variables and derived variables. And based on the given variables, there will always be a process which will involve into, plus, minus, or divided by to get you to the derived variable. And normally the derived variable is what the question is all about. So in that very small skit that I showed you, a man travels at 50 kilometers per hour for 5 hours. The derived variable here, the given variables are speed and time, and the derived variable is distance. So I might ask, the next question might be, if I want to close the question at this point, I might ask you, what is the distance traveled by him, or what is the distance from Delhi to Jaipur? So if you start visualizing triggers and reactions inside math situations, you start automatically getting better at it. And triggers also are of two types. Triggers, one type of trigger is direct language trigger, where the language is so obvious that you know what to do with it, and you just need to sort it out. Until you are not understanding that language and not doing what is required out of that language, till you don't set that right in your mind, you'll keep getting it wrong. So that's the first thing you set right in maths. When you go to any chapter, first focus on finding all the language triggers and familiarizing yourself with each language trigger, and coming back and doing that or finishing that off. And the second language trigger, the second kind of triggers are situational triggers. So in maths solving, a lot of times what happens is you come across this trigger and this trigger and this trigger, and these three give rise to three values that come in front of you. Now what do you do with what has happened? The question does not tell you. So that's where you have to think yourself. So that's what I call as a self-generated thought. So you'll realize that even an exam which is as tough as CAT, obviously the first kind of question is easier, the question which tells you everything. Questions where you have to generate a self-generated thought is what becomes difficult, right? But even if you look at the CAT, the toughest years of the CAT, you'll realize 50 to 60% questions even in the CAT do not require self-generated thoughts. They are trigger oriented in quants. DI may why people fail or find it very difficult in DILR is because 70-80% of the questions there these days are built on self-generated thoughts. They give you a situation and you have to think through that. And that's why the people who are dependent and who study for CAT like school, they never get a hang of data interpretation and the problem solving skills required there. So this is what you do, and hence if you are a weak student, your first focus in a chapter has to be to try to understand, break down the question into subparts, into sub-triggers, and try to see whether you can, what is written here, can I do this? What is written here, what does it require me to do, can I do this? And as I told you, the best part of maths is that every time you will do the same thing with the same language. And the situational triggers, although they sound difficult to start with, usme bhi the good news is that a particular chapter will have repetition of situational triggers also. So if you have seen enough questions, you will not find new things happening all the time. And last tip on this part, if you're not able to solve a question, apart from breaking it down, also try to do a little bit of reverse flow charting. So what is reverse flow charting? Try to look at what the question is asking, rather than trying to going from what the question is saying. Try to look for what the question is asking and try to come back one or two steps from there. So if you can come back one or two steps from there and you can come forward one or two steps from here, you'll be able to see the middle part, etc. So I'll bring a separate video on reverse flow charting as a problem solving tool for you guys later. Abhi ke liye I'll take your leave. I hope you're enjoying this and thank you so much. Please continue your comments. Although I'm not able to respond to all the comments, I do watch, I do read every one of the comments and really enjoy the fact that so many of you are there in this journey along with me. Thank you so much. Bye bye. May the tribe grow and may the channel grow. Thank you so much.